Welcome on board this ultra-luxury, all-inclusive, first-class cruise along Alaska's rugged coast. Join us. Over the next 7 days and 7 nights, we'll make this brand new ship our home base for exploring Alaska in style.
Hello, Jet Setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. This is Cruising in Alaska, and you're coming along.
Here's the plan. We'll leave Seward in the evening of our first day. We'll sail along Alaska's spectacular southeast coast and spend the better part of a week visiting 4 distinct towns during the day and enjoying all the ultra-luxury this first-class ship has to offer at night. We'll end our journey in Vancouver, 1,716 nautical miles later. We arrived in Seward by train the day before our departure, and the next morning we woke up to beautiful weather and walked from the Harbor 360 Hotel where we spent the night over to the cruise terminal where we caught our first glimpse of our ship.
Silver Nova, home for the next 7 days.
Silversea is an ultra-luxury, all-inclusive cruise company, and Silver Nova is one of their newest ships. She's the first in a new class of ships for the company and made her debut in August 2023. With space for 728 passengers and 544 crew, that ratio means one of the highest levels of service you'll find at sea. And thanks to that small number of passengers, boarding took virtually no time at all.
Even though this is a smaller, more boutique ship, it still looks gigantic.
And as we stepped on board, first impressions did not disappoint. But was it worth it? Well, we'll tell you exactly what we paid so you can decide for yourself. In any case, we can't wait to spend the next week exploring this magnificent ship with you. Our suite is on the 8th floor, which means a ride on this awesome elevator with its view of Silver Nova's sister ship, Silver Muse. It had just come in from Japan. We're booked into the entry-level Veranda Suite, and we were impressed the minute we walked in.
Wow. This place is incredible, and we're going to have plenty of time to explore it in depth over 7 days.
This is very modern feeling. Beautiful design. Feels like a 5-star fancy hotel.
Cheers. Here's to a great voyage.
But before we could strike out, we had a bit of work to do.
Something we don't often do is unpack on our trips, but we're here for a whole 7 days, so it feels really nice to be able to unpack. There's even room to store luggage in here.
As nice as our room is, we wanted to get out and explore a bit. Again, we'll give you a complete overview later on, but we were in search of the best place to watch our sail away, and we found it, outside, at the back of the ship, in Dusk Bar.
Best feature? Heat lamps.
We are total cruise newbies. This is really our first cruise. We took the Queen Mary II transatlantic about a year ago, but as we found out, that's a crossing, definitely not a cruise.
We're excited to try it, excited to experience it. We really don't know what we're doing. That said, let's get started.
First out of the gate was Silver Muse, beginning a 14-day journey through this part of the world. It was fun to wave goodbye to our fellow passengers over there. Soon, it was our turn.
We are officially underway. Next stop, adventure. Please don't use that. That's going to cutting your room floor.
Lest you forget, it's 8 o'clock at night, and it's still this bright, which is okay with me because it means more time to enjoy the stunning scenery here.
We bid farewell to our pilot and made our way to Atlantide for our first dinner on board, just one of some 10 restaurants on Silver Nova. We'll see them all on this journey, but for tonight, it was glazed beef tenderloin with roasted peanuts, pickled daikon, and egg noodles, just a sample of the world-class food we'll try on this journey. Tomorrow, though, is a sea day. But not just any sea day. Our captain will guide our massive ship right up close to the Hubbard Glacier. But what you won't believe is the near perfect weather for this unforgettable experience.
Well, Suzanne's still asleep, so I'm going to go do some reading up here in the observation lounge. It's a good night of sleep, a little rocking, but nothing like a train.
The ship was fairly quiet at 7:15, which made it the perfect time to take in the views. Grab a cup of coffee and just settle in for the day. This was a routine that quickly became a comfortable way to start each day on board. As the morning progressed, the lounge filled up as other passengers woke up and joined me in here.
Silversea bills itself as an ultra-luxury, all-inclusive cruise line, but what does that mean?
Well, basically, that everything's covered by your cruise fare, from the gourmet dining and room service to all drinks, including your suite's minibar. You can book one complimentary excursion at each port of call. Gratuities are also included for the ship's crew. There's even complimentary Wi-Fi provided by Starlink, and while it won't break any speed records, it was good enough for messaging and emails. Oh, and Silversea is the only cruise line that offers butler service in every single room on board. Speaking of all that's included, we made our way back to Atlantide for a quick informal bite. We'll try one of Silversea's most unusual dining venues for dinner tonight, but for now, these chicken wraps made for a nice, light lunch.
As with most cruises, there's no shortage of food. Everywhere you turn, there's restaurants, there's snacks. It's very tempting. With lunch, I skipped on the fries. Wasn't so good after lunch with my coffee. Had to have a sweet.
After lunch, the weather cleared up nearly perfectly as we approached the Hubbard Glacier. While most passengers battled for space at the front of the ship, we made our way to the aft where we enjoyed equally breathtaking views without crowds, back at the Dusk Bar. It's sights like these that put cruising in Alaska so high on so many people's bucket lists. This kind of scenery is almost impossible to believe is real, but it very much is.
You know it's a special day when the crew are out taking pictures too.
The waters here in the Wrangell St. Elias National Park and Preserve are rich with life. You don't have to look too hard to see it. The ship turned around, transforming our secluded spots in the aft into front row seats for this exceptional land and seascape.
I can't imagine a more perfect day for this.
This is my favorite meal of the day, bar snacks. Particularly the toasted corn nuts. I'm that person. I pick out the good stuff.
And as we slowly make our way back through these icy waters to leave the Hubbard Glacier behind and continue our journey through Alaska, this unforgettable experience was a reminder of why we'd chosen to travel here in the first place.
So how did we end up deciding on Alaska as our first cruise destination?
We were in Denali about 3 years ago now and had an amazing time inland in Alaska, but we wanted to check out the coastline, and the best way to do that, well, it's on a ship.
Yeah, cruising in Alaska really seems like an iconic destination. There's so many places that you can really only get to by ship or air, so a cruise seems ideal to see them all and to check out that scenery.
But what's next? Let us know in the comments below. What are some of your favorite cruise destinations? But that also raises the question about why we chose to travel with Silversea in particular. There are dozens of cruise ships plying the Alaskan waters from all kinds of different cruise lines. We chose this particular one for 4 main reasons. First, some friends recommended Silversea to us. The itinerary worked really well for us. We liked the small size of this. And finally, the all-inclusive nature of it was really perfect for us. But more about that as we continue this trip. Tonight, we donned our bibs and took advantage of one of Silversea's signature dining experiences by cooking steaks on hot lava rocks at the grill. Under the guidance of the Silversea crew, we cooked each steak for 4 minutes per side. Suzanne opted for a New York strip, and I had the filet. Turns out, as usual, Suzanne made the better choice than me. Hers was done a lot quicker than mine.
First a cooking class in Penang, and now I'm making my own steak in Alaska.
As tasty as those steaks are, the baked s'more took a campfire treat to a whole new level. This was so much fun. We're definitely going to have to do it again before we leave. But now that we're making our way into Juneau, it's time to take a tour around the ship.
Well, it was another good night of sleep. About to begin day number 3. For now, let's watch the approach into Juneau.
And as we got closer to Alaska's state capital, we encountered whales and more seabirds than could be counted. It was a magical way to start this day. But now that we've docked, this seems like a great time to take a tour of our ship, the Silver Nova. Right now we're on the very top deck, number 11. But let's head down and work our way back up, deck by deck. First up, Deck 3. This area is known as the shelter. It's the champagne bar here on the ship, and my favorite part of it is the fact that it's the bottom of this huge atrium. It's 3 levels down here. Up on Deck 4, there's more to see. This is the Venetian Lounge. It's the ship's theater where you'll find all kinds of lectures and shows. With space for 370 guests, we never had any trouble finding space here for daytime lectures. That said, most of the big shows started at 10 p.m., well after our bedtime. We did hit one matinee though, and it was a lot of fun.
This is the Arts Cafe. You can have a coffee here, dessert, or even light meals most times of the day. Also on this floor you find reception and future cruise sales.
There's even a printer and computers, along with some daily games you can play.
The elevators in the ship are magnificent. They've got glass walls, but who needs the elevators when you got the stairs?
And that brings us to Deck 5.
There are 2 libraries on board, and this is one of them.
Right next door is the Connoisseur's Corner, which is the smoking lounge on board. This is the Panorama Lounge. It's really bustling in the afternoons. There's trivia, there are all kinds of games in here.
and a really active place. Also karaoke some nights.
This is Dolce Vita, one of our favorite places to grab a drink before dinner.
This is Silver Nova. This is one of the restaurants that requires reservations, and there's several of them on board, but you can sneak in for a drink if there's room at the bar. Here you'll find the boutique. It's right across the hall from the casino, which is great news. You can win your money and then spend it. And here's the spa, fitness center, and salon where I'm getting a haircut right now. Always feel better after a haircut, you know?
Decks 6 through 9 have all the suites.
And a quick climb up 4 flights of stairs brings us to deck 10. You'll find the pool here, there's a pool bar, there's even an orange tree, believe it or not. Just FYI, it's not real, it's fake.
The pool's heated to about 73 degrees, but you're not gonna find me in there with an air temperature in the 40s.
I may not be dressed for it right now, but this is the ship's jogging path. 8 trips around this equal 1 mile.
This has to be one of my favorite spots on Silver Nova. It's the dusk bar. It's the way back of the ship. Great place to watch sail away and grab a drink.
This is Salt Bar. Now here in this bar, they use local ingredients no matter where they're sailing in the world. The bar was stocked with spirits from Alaska and Canada. It even featured a menu with locally inspired cocktails. We even got to try our hand at mixing some of them in a class we took.
As promised, the second library.
It may just be the most distinctive and beautiful place on the ship. This is the observation lounge. It's quickly become my favorite place on the entire ship. I love starting my days here. And still more to see all the way up on deck 11. On the top deck, deck 11, you'll find this whirlpool, which is really nice right now. After running all over the ship, we stepped off to stretch our legs even further here in Juneau with a beautiful hike through one of the world's largest temperate rainforests. So we got away from the group a little bit. I think we're probably not supposed to be doing that, but it's nice to have a little bit of the trail to ourselves out here in the wilderness that is Juneau. It's a beautiful part of the world for sure, and always good to be in nature. We'll share more about the included excursions here on Silversea a little later in the video, but for now, just know that some of our favorite experiences from this cruise actually occurred off the ship. After that fantastic hike, we enjoyed pre-dinner canapes waiting for us in our room. These are also served in the ship's bars. We then returned to Atlantide tonight for salmon, a beetroot salad, and one of this evening's specials, Wiener Schnitzel. It was a good thing we ate up. We have big plans for you tomorrow. On our 4th day, we visited Skagway, which means it's time for 24 hours on an Alaskan cruise. Every night, an electronic agenda for the next day's activities appears on your suite's iPad, and it was always full. It's never hard to stay busy from dawn to dusk. Here goes. It's 6 o'clock. Time to sit down, enjoy a cup of coffee.
7:30 a.m. room service breakfast. Omelet for Jeb, fruit and yogurt for me.
8:30 a.m. Headed out for an excursion. We chose the White Pass Scenic Railway for our excursion. Trains for the win. Am I right?
This is not a video about trains, but Jeb can't help himself from foaming.
Back to the ship because
12 noon, time for lunch.
and that means ramen. 1 o'clock, time for some afternoon coffee.
2 o'clock, it's workout time. Let's hit the gym.
2:45, time for a shower. That's much better.
4 p.m., we're at the theater to attend a lecture.
It's 5 o'clock. Let's grab a drink.
7 p.m., dinner time.
9 o'clock, time for bed. I think it's about time we show you around our suite. But first, a visit to the Arts Cafe for a quick, light breakfast. Watching Alaska go by never gets old. These views are incredible. Welcome to our Veranda Suite. Now, this is the entry-level suite on the ship, but you wouldn't know it. It's like a 5-star hotel. Everything is so well appointed. Now, we're going to talk more about price a little later in the video and let you know exactly what we paid. But for now, what you need to know is every suite on this ship has a balcony like that. They also have these living areas, which are comfortable places to enjoy watching the television. It's massive and includes a number of live television channels as well as movies, but we've really enjoyed this, which is the bridge camera looking forward. It gives you an opportunity to see what's coming. There's also a great channel that allows you to track where the ship is in the world and even the weather. Now, here at the desk, it's been a great place to get some work done. There's an iPad to control everything in the room, as well as a mini bar that's replenished daily. Now, speaking of that, we have a butler.
Our butler's really getting to know us. This chips bowl never runs empty.
The beds have been really nice, very comfortable, despite a couple of rough nights so far.
You get to choose your bed configuration. It's either one queen bed or two twin beds, as we have.
Yeah, we chose the two twin beds for two reasons. One, we're used to sleeping in a king bed at home, call us spoiled. Second, I tend to wake up earlier than Suzanne, but that way we're sort of less disruptive to one another with the twin beds. But really, they've been super comfortable, wouldn't you say?
Comfortable bedding, yep.
Now, coming this way, there's a really nice sized closet, which we'll check out in just a little bit, and a vanity here. But the bathroom is really something. Let me show you around. Now, in the past, I've been criticized in our bathroom tours for calling them bathrooms, but there is a bathtub. Now, there's also a sink with two faucets, plenty of amenities, moisturizers and soaps and conditioners and everything you might expect like that. There's also a shower. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall and there's plenty of room for me. Yeah, this bathroom is definitely impressive, but let me show you the closet too.
Welcome to our massive walk-in closet. There's so much space in here, you can definitely unpack yourself for the week. This is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about what should you pack for your Alaska cruise. We're taking this trip in mid-May, which is still pretty early in the season, but I think this is gonna apply all summer long. The first thing you gotta have is layers, layers, and layers. Waterproof, fleece, jacket, bring them all. And this is the reason why. It's about 40 degrees in Sitka today. There's only 17 sunny days here a year. So bring those layers. The weather has been everything from chilly and cold and windy to pretty sunny and nice outside. So pack for a range. Bring a base layer. We like merino. It'll keep you warm all day long out doing those excursions. If you get motion sickness at all, bring your wristbands, bring your motion sickness medicine. I've needed both on this trip. Like, mostly it's been pretty smooth inside the inside passage. However, out in the Pacific, it's a little bit more rough. The waves today are about at 6 feet, so we're definitely feeling it out here. This is also a great opportunity to talk about the dress code on board Silver Nova. During the day, it's fairly casual, kind of like come as you are. However, come 6 p.m., the dress code switches to something called elegant casual. For ladies, that means a blouse and skirt or slacks.
And for guys, that means a collared shirt and slacks, no jeans, also no sneakers, and the jacket's optional, but for me, I'm bringing it tonight. Dinner time. Are you ready?
Let's eat.
Tonight, we visited one of Silversea's signature restaurants, La Terrazza. Silversea was originally an Italian cruise line, so it only makes sense to retain that heritage here. You will need a reservation, but they were easy to come by. The menu was impressive, particularly if you like freshly made pasta. We started with a beautiful antipasto platter. Now, I usually pass on bread, but not here. We were truly impressed by the lasagna, but the perfectly prepared sliced beef with spinach and red wine sauce shouldn't be missed either. Can you believe this is all included? While we're at it, as we make our way into Ketchikan, let's show you a few of the restaurants you haven't seen yet. Perhaps nothing is more synonymous with cruising than dining. On board Silver Nova, you'll have plenty of options. This food is truly world-class. And don't forget, it's practically all included in our cruise fare. First up, in the mornings and at lunch, La Terrazza, where we ate last night, becomes the ship's buffet, and there's no shortage of options here. Suzanne mentioned the Arts Cafe during our ship tour because we considered it so much more than a restaurant. There was, of course, always food available, but it was the coffee that kept us coming back. There are 2 restaurants on board with an additional fee if you choose to eat there. First, La Dame is a French restaurant. Since we don't really like French food, though, we skipped out. But we absolutely loved Kaiseki, the ship's Japanese restaurant. We had lunch here one day, ramen, of course, and that's included. But we also ate here for dinner one night. The multi-course tasting menu came in at $80 per person. It was the only time we spent any additional money on our food or drinks on board, and it was 100% worth it. At each restaurant each night, white and red wines were available. Now, the choices change nightly, and it's also possible to order something a bit more special from the ship's cellar if you want it. As much as we'd hoped to check out Silver Note, the ship's jazz club, it was another reservations-required restaurant, and we just never made the time for it. The Marquee is a new to this ship space. It's by far the most casual dining space on board, which elevated at the top of our list. It combines Spacca Napoli, the ship's pizza restaurant, which is open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., with the Grill, which is open for lunch. At night, though, this is the space where Suzanne and I cooked those steaks on hot lava rocks. Of course, there's always room service. It's available 24 hours a day, and you can order pretty much whatever you want, whenever you want it. All you have to do is ask your butler. But we're saving the best restaurant on board for our final meal. For now, though, I think we can all agree.
You didn't come all the way to Alaska just to sit on a cruise ship, right? You want to get out there and check out the activities. So on Silversea, there's a choice of about 5 to 10 excursions per port, which are included. You got to choose one, in which we mostly pre-booked before the cruise.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stuff. Good mix of things that are active and not active. Let's see, we've had a couple of really great hikes, and also we got to ride on that White Pass Scenic Railway. There's just tons of options that really kind of fit whatever you want out of your Alaska vacation. But I think you're right. The last thing we'd want to do is just hang out on the ship, as nice as it is the whole time. So let's head out.
Here in Ketchikan, we made our way off the ship and onto our very first hovercraft. We visited this beach where we got up close and personal with our national bird.
You could also choose not to go on an excursion and just explore around on your own. In each port we've been in, you can either walk to town or the ship provides a shuttle or tender.
And there's plenty to do in each of these port towns. They're really designed for this. There are 3 or 4 ships at each one we've seen so far. There are a lot of people running around, but it's worth your time just to explore town.
What about our favorite dinner? Well, it was in Salt Kitchen, which is an acronym for Sea and Land Taste. We love this restaurant. Again, I have a hard time believing this is all included. This was a fine dining experience, bar none. They use local ingredients, like in this salmon run starter. It's freshly caught salmon with horseradish sauce and sturgeon and salmon caviar. Or Suzanne's Kodiak kale salad with strawberries, candied walnuts, and even cheese curds. But this halibut we had for mains, well, it was unforgettable. But maybe the best part was this special dessert.
Baked Alaska. I've been waiting a long time for this.
There can be no more perfect dessert for an Alaska cruise. Our final day on board was at sea, which makes it the perfect time to reflect on our time on board, share our final thoughts, and the price for this 7-day adventure. I think my favorite aspect of this Alaska cruise experience was the opportunity to get out and explore this part of the world. It seems kind of counterintuitive to say, but as nice as the ship was, and it was, the best part of the cruise for me was everything that happened off the cruise. The excursions we experienced are what I can't stop thinking about. We also loved unpacking once and seeing multiple towns as our hotel traveled with us. The all-inclusive nature of Silversea was also an aspect we particularly enjoyed. The downsides, though, for us on this trip were fairly limited. In fact, it's probably more of an us problem than a Silversea problem. There were often just so many choices we suffered from FOMO. With 10 different restaurants and an almost endless supply of excursions to choose from, we didn't want to miss any of them. It was just sometimes difficult to make decisions. Another downside, again, perhaps limited to us, was that there just weren't very many options for dinner unless we dressed up. If we wanted to stay casual, we could only eat in our room or the grill, but you had to have a reservation there. But what about the cost? Well, Silversea offers 3 levels of cruise fares. We chose port to port because that included excursions, and we made our own arrangements to get to and from the ship. Again, all fare classes include virtually all onboard food and drinks, so we paid $3,750 per person for 7 nights on board. All in, we really like traveling with Silversea, and you'll almost certainly find us on board another one of their ships again sometime soon.
Between now and the next time, see on the seas. Who are you waving at?
Folks in downtown Seward.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, I don't see anybody out. Is it closed right now?
All-inclusive. My nickname in college, well, One Take Brooks.
This would be better with a blanket. Come on, there's a carpet on Shikishima. Jab, did you bring your hat and gloves?
I didn't get your tips before we left, though